Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. You've made it to the end of the week and the edge of, for many of us, a 3-day weekend. So your reward is 3 hours today of 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you're tuned in to the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour. Brendan Wrzynski is out today. 3 hours of sports talk coming your way before we have Royals baseball for you tonight, the opener of a 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium between the Royals and the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is set for 6:40 from the K, which means pregame coverage will start 40 minutes prior, right at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Left-hander Noah Cameron on the mound for KC. Right-hander Logan Gilbert gets the nod for the Mariners. In the 3 hours that we have together, it's pretty clear that the Royals think that the fix for what has ailed them, and that is an understatement, that this is an ailing baseball team through 50 games of the 2026 season, is to simply play better. That's the solution. Not sending guys down, calling guys up, not juggling the lineup around. Lineup against the right-hander tonight looks a whole lot like the lineup against right-handers every night for the Kansas City Royals. If you were looking for lineup upheaval, tonight's not your night. No, none of that. It is very clear that the Royals believe that the answers lie within their own clubhouse, and it is a simple matter of just playing better. Well, 2 questions arise from that point. How much better can this team play? Like, what does the best of this team even look like? And how long do they realistically have to get to that level of play? It might be longer than you think, but it's not all that long either, realistically, as May becomes June, not too far away from here. So we'll discuss that. And also something that I mentioned on yesterday's show, numbers in the clutch, numbers in high leverage, numbers with runners in scoring position. Turns out the guys the Royals need to be better in those situations have a career-long track record of being better in those situations. And not just better than their established performance so far through 50 games in 2026. I'm talking about better than their established level of performance over the course of their careers. Guys are generally better. The Royals' most important players are better with runners in scoring position, or have been. They aren't this year. That's a problem. We'll get into that. We'll preview the series between the Royals and the Mariners. Remember when the Royals swept the Mariners in Seattle to start this month? Oh, we were so much younger then, so much more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and full of optimism about what this baseball season could still be. It was a different time. It was so long ago. It was the first weekend of May. The Mariners are still not in a great spot, but they're in a spot the Royals would love to be in. So we'll preview the series a little bit later on. We'll also get to a baseball topic in the 5 o'clock hour that kind of surprised me. All these rule changes that Major League Baseball has made over the last few years, some I have liked better than others. None of these rule changes appear to have made a significant difference when it comes to offense in Major League Baseball. The hitters still aren't hitting. Is it their fault? Is it the rule changes' fault? The rule changes not go far enough? We'll banter about it a little bit later on. Got some football to get to today as well. Of course, our guest on this Friday will be Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. We'll talk to Matt about all things Chiefs Kingdom related coming up at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Then in the 4 o'clock hour, I came across a set of power rankings. And look, I am not, as a general rule, an active consumer of power rankings. Like for baseball, for instance, I haven't read a single baseball power ranking article all season, and I probably won't. Like, I'm not an active consumer of these things. But I did happen to see that The Ringer, Deontay Lee at The Ringer, put out his post-draft, essentially team activity power rankings. And the reason they caught my eye was because of how low the Chiefs were ranked. And when you see somebody who covers the league nationally, and Deontay Lee is somebody who I think does a good job. I respect his football brain, and I respect his opinions. When he has the Chiefs ranked in the middle of the pack, and I mean just about smack dab in the middle of the pack out of 32 teams, it gave me a little pause. And I thought to myself, well, wait a second. Is that the baseline where we have to start with the Chiefs, an understanding that they're fighting their way up from the middle of the NFL's pack this year? Are we maybe overrating things a little bit? We'll discuss that. Also, Spencer and I in the 4 o'clock hour will tell you, based on preseason consensus, be that Vegas odds, power rankings, whatever you want to call it, teams that we like better than the consensus, teams that we like a lot less than the consensus seems to like. So we'll have some fun with that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today. And our typical Friday shenanigans on the show. We'll have 580 Sports Talk headlines, including the playoff roundup. We've got What Is Wrong With You. We'll crown a weekly champion. On second thought, change my mind, all that good stuff. That's all still to come on the program today. And your interaction with the show. We want to hear from you as we go along today on 580 Sports Talk. Text line's wide open, 785-272-9429. I say wide open. It's kind of redundant to say the text line is wide open. You can always get a text through. Used to be a thing, you say the phone lines were wide open. Well, that's a finite resource. You only got but so many phone lines, and when they were full, they were full. Text line, though, always open. Like Waffle House, 24/7, baby, 365, 366 in a leap year. You can always text the program, 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We are 24 subscribers away from 1,000. Somebody get us to a nice round 975 today. I know you're out there. I know someone's listening who's not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet. Get us to that nice. I'm sorry. We're at 976. We're already past 975. My brain's a little backwards. Anyhow, if there are 4 of you out there want to get us to 980, that would rock. But let's take it one step at a time. There's got to be one hero out there to move us one notch closer to 1,000 YouTube subscribers and whatever nonsense, chicanery, tomfoolery we're going to get up to as a celebration of that milestone here on 580 Sports Talk. But go subscribe, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. And hop in that live chat. Say hello to your fellow listeners and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. I see Andrew, Paul, Mark H. in the chat so far. No, we'll see some more people as we go. Appreciate hearing from everybody in that chat. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Royals didn't lose last night, so that was nice. Day off from that. Unfortunately, that has been the repeated tenor of this show and the repeated tenor of the Royals season, 20-30 through 50 games, losers of 8 of their last 9 of their last 10, actually going back to that Sunday loss to the Tigers on their previous homestand. Swept in Chicago, swept by the Red Sox just recently as they welcome the Seattle Mariners to town this weekend. The lineup remains pretty much the same. It's a little bit of a shakeup against lefties the last 2 days, but the lineup you're going to see tonight against a right-hander, no difference, no change. Still Garcia at the top with Bobby Witt Jr. second, and Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino there in the middle. Vinny third, Salvi fourth. And Jensen and Caglione, the rookie left-handers, right behind them. And then Collins, Massey, Isbell, rounding out the 9. It's the same lineup. It's the same order. Matt Quattrero still writing up the lineup cards. Alex Zumwalt, as director of hitting, is still leading those meetings. Brian Sweeney, pitching coach, still leading meetings on that side of things. There have been no shakeup. There have been no dramatic Royals changes to date. And when you are 20-30 and the season is beginning to get away from you this early, a season of expectation is beginning to get away from you this early, one thing you can do to try and arrest the downward spiral is make dramatic change. Shake up the lineup. Send some guys down. Call some guys up. Not really sure who you would call up if you're the Royals. Like, are we dying for Cam Meisner at bats? I'm sure not. You want to give Drew Waters another go? I think we've seen those movies. Like, the prospects that you're hoping are long-term impact for the Royals, they're either far away from the big leagues or they're already here. And like Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen maybe aren't lighting the world on fire, but they've both been above average offensive contributors or right around average, depending on what metric you want to look at. But they've been solid, even good. Certainly acceptable given their age and experience and where they bat in the batting order. So the young guys aren't the problem. So you don't look at it and say, all right, yeah, we got a young guy, we were really counting on, but their OPS is down in the 6s and, we got to send them down, get a little bit more seasoning, try and inject some life, shake up the clubhouse in that manner. That hasn't happened. Haven't seen a dramatic shakeup of the relief corps. That hasn't happened. And all that leads to an unmistakable conclusion that the Royals, and I'm not saying whether they're right about this or not. I think there are some regards in which they are right about this, and there are other regards in which they are not, and that's what this opening segment is for. But it is clear that the Royals believe that they have all the answers in their clubhouse, in the sense that they think it is as simple as playing better with who's on hand. That it is as simple as Vinny Pasquantino's true talent is not, in fact, a 604 OPS, and that he will come around. That Salvador Perez, who has had a really nice 9-day stretch, unfortunately nobody else has. Royals are 1-8 in that stretch, but you can't blame the captain. That Salvador Perez will start to come around. That Salvador Perez might be feeling better physically than he has. One sure shot sign that the Royals think that Salvi is feeling better and that Salvi actually is feeling better. The Royals DFA'd their third catcher today. Elias Diaz, thanks for that home run on Wednesday night. You're out of a job Friday morning. They DFA'd Elias Diaz today. Usually when the Royals run 3 catchers, it's because they don't know on a day-in, day-out basis if Salvi's going to be able to go behind the plate. So they need cover. They need a contingency plan there. Well, no need for the contingency plan if Salvi's healthy. So that makes me feel better, honestly, about Perez, not just the increased production over the last 9 games, but the fact that he's feeling physically well enough that the Royals no longer feel it necessary to carry 3 catchers, at least for the time being. I consider that a positive. You got to look hard for him with this Royals team, but that looks like a positive, feels like a positive to me. But anyway, that's the mindset that the Royals are carrying into this series against Seattle, into Memorial Day weekend and the end of this month of May, is that the answers for better baseball are already in the clubhouse. It's just a matter of guys performing at a higher level. It's Michael Garcia snapping out of his funk. He's been terrible over the last 10 games. It's continued improvement day over day from Caglione and Jensen. It's Pasquantino and Perez returning to form. It's Bobby Witt Jr. continue to swing the kind of bat that Bobby Witt Jr. has swung, though even his batting average has dipped below 300 in recent days, despite the fact that he leads the American League in hits. It's also belief that there is improvement to come on the mound. The Royals got good news today about Cole Reagans. He's going to make a rehab start tomorrow. That is really good news. All goes well, maybe he's back first week of June. Or at the very least, second week of June if they decide he needs to make 2 rehab starts. It depends. But that's certainly a positive sign that the Royals could get their number 1 starter back soon. And they're hoping that Chris Bubich isn't going to be out long either. Hopefully they can get him back. Hopeful that the bullpen performance will stabilize at some point, that they can build something out of Urseg and Lynch, and maybe even Luinder Avila, who's pitched really well since he got called up for a second time this season. That is the belief. Again, I am not here to say that's 100% right or 100% wrong, because I don't think it's either of those things. I think we have shades of gray here. But it is clear that is what the Royals are all in on. We are capable of better. And it gets a little tougher to hold on to that old adage about the back of the baseball card not lying when you're 50 games in, as opposed to when you're 20 or even 30 games in. You do start to worry. All right, man, Salvador Perez is 36. Maybe he's just cooked. Again, he's starting to look better, feeling healthier. Could see a second half Salvi surge in the same way that we saw last year. Pasquantino's the sticking point, right? Like, that's the big one. Now, your number 3 hitter is hitting 194 as we hit Memorial Day weekend. That is a big problem. Here's the thing about Vinny, though, and I found this to be fascinating, because one of the things that we have talked about all season long with regards to the Royals, underperformance in the clutch, underperformance with runners in scoring position. Perez, Pasquantino, and Bobby Witt Jr. all have way better numbers with runners in scoring position in their career than their established career norms. Salvador Perez is a lifetime 263 hitter with a 300 on base and a 455 slug. In almost 1,900 runners in scoring position plate appearances in Salvi's career, his batting average is 26 points higher. His on-base percentage is 44 points higher. His slugging percentage is 29 points higher. He walks almost twice as often with runners in scoring position. And look, this isn't all the hitter, right? Like, great hitters, like established performers, established RBI men, established elite talents, like Bobby Witt Jr., they get pitched differently with runners in scoring position, right? You would expect pitchers to be more careful, more willing to issue a walk. You would expect walk rates, on-base percentages to be higher in those spots as a result. But a 44-point increase in on-base percentage for Salvador Perez with runners in scoring position, that's 4.5% of the time he's not making it out, 4.5% more of the time that he's not making it out. Bobby Witt Jr.'s career runners in scoring position numbers, he's a 329 lifetime hitter with runners in scoring position with a 562 slug. That's a 38-point increase in batting average. It's a 59-point increase in slugging. Vinny Pasquantino, it's not quite as pronounced in his 572 career plate appearances with runners in scoring position, but his average is still 14 points better in those spots. His on-base percentage is 8 points better. His slugging percentage is 17 points better. He's been better. So the Royals look at that, and Salvador Perez has taken something like, both Perez and Pasquantino have taken 60-odd plate appearances. I think both of them are right around like 61, 63. 60-odd plate appearances with runners in scoring position, and the Royals are betting on the big sample size and not the small sample size, which is usually, again, the smart thing to do. And that once those guys start cashing in more runners in scoring position opportunities, you're going to see this team score some more runs and maybe flip some of these bad results in one-score games. Another reminder, the Royals are 4-9 in one-run games this season. Last year, through 50 games, the Royals were 9-5. In one-run games. If the Royals had as many wins in one-run games this year as they did at this point last year, they'd be a 500 baseball team. That's the difference. How do you turn around some of those one-score games? Runners in scoring position performance goes a long way. And the Royals believe that better is possible. Now, I don't think it's right to say that runners in scoring position performance or high leverage performance is the only reason or even the primary reason that things have gone this poorly for the Royals so far. I don't think we fully grappled with how harmful the pitching injuries have been. It's clear that the Carlos Estevez situation totally wrecked the Royals' plans for their bullpen and exposed the fact that the depth they had has not been as good as what they expected it would be. That's been a big deal. That's been a harm. Cole Reagan's being out. Chris Bubich not being quite right, now being out. That's been a problem. But it's never just one thing, right? When you're a team that goes into the season with expectations, even if they're not lofty. Like, nobody thought this team was a 90. Well, Spencer did pick them to win 96 games. But nobody thought they were a 90 or 100-win team. That was not the broad perception. That was not the analytic perception. The thought was the Royals were a team probably about mid-80s caliber and wins. But when you have underachieving players, underachieving important players, when you have injuries, when you have poor play, and when you do not get the breaks in one-run games, that's how you go from the expectations that the Royals had set that were, I think, reasonably set for the Royals to what they have been through 50 games. The bad news for them is the math starts to get a little sticky. So the Royals have 112 games remaining, right? 112 games. If you are an 86-win baseball team, which the Royals were, and I'm actually doing the math as I talk you through this. If you were an 86-win baseball team, as the Royals were when they made the playoffs 2 years ago, that means you win about 53% of your games. It's a .531 winning percentage when you round up. So if you play 112 games from today onward, which is what the Royals have, and you multiply that by a .531 winning percentage, you get about 59.5 wins. Let's give the Royals an extra win. Let's round up for the fun of it. We're really rounding up because it's 59.47. So we're being really generous. Let's round up. Let's give them 60 wins. Let's say the Royals play like an 86-win team the rest of the season. They are the team that we kind of thought, that the median maybe thought that they could be the rest of the season. What's 20 plus 60? I'll tell you what 20 plus 60 is. 20 plus 60 is watching the playoffs from home. 20 plus 60 is a losing season after 2 straight winning seasons. So you're running low on time. You've got to be, in fact, a better team than you were in 2024 over this 112-game sample. And how long do you have to figure out if that's even possible? Do you have a week? Do you give it the rest of this homestand against Seattle and the Yankees? Do you give it the road trip after that where Texas isn't real good? You get 3 there, and Cincinnati's punching above their weight. Their run differential suggests they're not actually as good as their record. And you got 3 there, and then 4 at Minnesota, who's not good. You know, the Royals rip off like 10 wins in that stretch. They go 10-6. Like, they're still 6 under 500 at that point, but it feels like you'd have things going in a good direction. But also, that's 3 against the Yankees team that owns them. That's 10 on the road where they've been terrible. So the prognosis, doctor, is not promising. But how long do you give them to prove you right? If you're the Royals front office, if you're Royals management, how long do you give this team to prove you right that better play is all that's necessary? I don't know the exact answer to that. All I know is they don't have a whole heck of a lot longer. We'll get to a break. We'll come back with your reaction, 785-272-9429. Also hear from you in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Then Matt Derrick will join us to talk some Chiefs. We'll shift gears with our Chiefs Insider in about 10 minutes here on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on this Friday. It's a good response from the text line of the YouTube chat here as we open up this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's start with the YouTube. Paul in the chat. Forget splits, tendencies, and matchups. Put your best 9 guys in the spots you need them to be in. Ride the ride until the park closes or gets shut down by the government. I agree with that, Paul. The thing is that of the 9 guys in the spots they need to be in, like the best version of the Royals has Vinny and Salvi doing Vinny and Salvi stuff in the middle of the order. And I think that's a difficult line to walk. I am at the point where I'd like to see them dropped until they start to find their swings, but maybe Salvador Perez already started to. Maybe we're past that point. He's got 3 home runs in the last 9 games. Sal's picked it up. Nobody's suggesting that it's impossible for Vinny to do the same, but it is frustrating to watch those two when they were both struggling together. It was. It hurt the team. And if we are telling the story of a disappointing full 162 in October of this year, we will be talking about the first 40, 50 games where the 3 and the 4 hole hitters gave you nothing. But I do think that is what has happened, Paul. I don't think there's much doubt that, like, the 9 they're starting tonight are their best 9. Maybe that's the problem. Carl points out in the live chat, 3-4 hitters have been much worse this year, haven't been able to carry the team. The Royals didn't spend enough to get better guys. We could have gotten Jarren Duran from the White Sox. Or Red Sox, rather. Duran was really good in the series against the Royals. Really good. Hit 2 big home runs. Jarren Duran's OPS right now is 628, which happens to be just 2 points higher than Salvador Perez's OPS. If the Royals had traded for Jarren Duran and he were having that season, you'd all want J.J. Piccolo's head on a spike. You might want that anyway. But you'd be killing the Royals for having traded for Duran. You'd kill him because he's been awful. He had 2 nice games at Kauffman Stadium. Maybe he loves hitting at Kauffman Stadium. Who knew? And maybe he's a Kauffman Stadium merchant, and the Royals should have done more to go get him with that in mind. But yeah, I don't think Duran would have been the fix-all. He's also not a very good defender, and I've also long thought this, not a good guy. Not a guy you want in your clubhouse. Mark H. makes point the hitting and pitching just haven't gelled together at the same time. That's certainly been the frustration of this last 9 games, where you had that run where the Royals only had 1 quality start in an 8-game span, and that was obviously detrimental. And then the starting pitching had a good turn through the rotation, and it didn't matter because the Royals stopped hitting. And the only time all year where we've seen the hitting and pitching go well at the same time, it was that 3-week stretch where it looked like the Royals were going to dig their way out of the early season hole. The homestand against Baltimore and L.A., the Angels, the road trip out west through Sacramento and Seattle, and then the homestand against Cleveland and Detroit. That's the only time all year we've seen it all kind of look like it was meshing together. Can't just be a 3-week thing, though. To the text line from the 785, how much do you put in the idea of issues being affected by the World Baseball Classic? Very little, to be honest with you, like on a team-wide level. Like if it was as easy as, well, going to the World Baseball Classic messes you up. And explain Michael Wacha's start to the season. Explain Bobby Witt Jr. looks like the MVP. He's at the World Baseball Classic. There have been some guys who have struggled, Vinny most notably, but also like Salvador Perez, that were at the World Baseball Classic. So there's probably not a one-size-fits-all answer to that. I don't think any of those guys would use that as an excuse, but it's clearly not the kind of thing that is a all-around hindrance to getting your season off to a good start. Like, you want to say there are guys who, they were in the World Baseball Classic and they're not off to very good starts? I don't know. I guess they all should have done what Michael Wacha did. Lastly, from the 785, feel sorry for Bobby Witt Jr. Seems like his talent is going to waste in Kansas City. That is maybe, I don't want to say anything is the most frustrating thing, but it is among the most frustrating aspects of this season so far, is that Bobby Witt Jr. is on pace to put together another all-time great Royals individual season. And if the Royals end up going 72-90 with him playing like an MVP, yeah, that is the kind of thing that if you want change, you will get it then. You will surely get it then. But yes, it is frustrating to watch this outstanding two-way, five-tool performer playing in a situation where he has really struggled. Let's take a break. We'll come back with Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider. We're going to shift some gears and talk some football coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, who covers the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com, also appears on the 41 is the Mike podcast. He's all over social media. Just search for his name, Matt Derrick. Matt, how do you imagine rehab of a knee surgery goes in jail? How do you imagine that's going for Rashee Rice right now?
Yeah, I don't imagine that's going pretty well. I mean, I'll admit, Dan, I've not done a lot of hard time, so I don't know not entirely about the conditions in your local Texas jails and everything, but normally they're not great. So I don't know. Time you get in the yard, even if there is a yard in the local jail. I mean, the prison, sure. So yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to have like those resistance bands. I mean, they seem like they could be dangerous in jail. I don't know, but I guess Rashee Rice is going to find out.
Did the Chiefs know that Rice was going to get the knee procedure? Was that something that was well known, maybe even discussed with the training staff?
I mean, I haven't heard otherwise, and I can't imagine that it wasn't approved. I mean, I almost feel like if it wasn't approved, he probably wouldn't be on the team right now. I do have some questions about, why it took so late in the process for that cleanup to happen, unless there was something in the offseason that prompted it. We are finally going to get to hear from Andy Reid next Thursday as OTAs start next week. So we'll finally, hopefully start to get some answers. But at this point, the Chiefs have been pretty tight-lipped on exactly the whole process. And it seems like it was the Rashee Rice side of the equation that let people know about the surgery and the cleanup and everything. I don't know if there was a ulterior purpose to that. But maybe again, we'll hear in the next days and weeks, we'll find out kind of what the process was.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. He is our Chiefs insider on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. So Rashee Rice was going to miss OTAs and mandatory minicamp anyway, wasn't going to participate in them. I guess instead of being at One Arrowhead Drive, he'll be prisoner number whatever and lock up in Dallas County instead. There's a pretty big difference, I think, between not participating but being there and not participating and eating bread and water and wearing prison blues. But in that difference, is there, you think, more urgency for the Chiefs to add a serious player at wide receiver beyond somebody who would just take a vet minimum, somebody who'd be along for the ride? Do they need to go out and add somebody who can be a real depth chart impact for their team at wide receiver, given that, number one, We already knew this, but now it's been cemented. You can't trust Rashee Rice. And number two, he might not be able to trust that knee to get him through 17 games.
Yeah, there's kind of two ways to look at it. And, one was that, maybe the Chiefs were just going to be looking for depth at receiver to extend the line because right now, I mean, you could draw up a roster of what this team looks like at receiver, and maybe your sixth receiver is a guy like Nico Remigio as a return specialist, but that'd also be counting Cyrus Allen and Jalen Royals as maybe 4 and 5, and that's not a whole lot of depth as far as experience goes. If any one of your top three goes down, well, now you've already got questions about one of your top three, and it's a guy who can do slot and X receiver too. So, you got to get somebody who's probably a little bit multiple there. I mean, I know I've had right now Juju Smith-Schuster as the 2-to-1 odds, that the guy that walks through the door because he's readily available and it makes sense. But to your point, I mean, I don't think the Chiefs want to get into a spot where one of their top three or two of their top three receivers go down. And then who do they turn to? I mean, there needs to be somebody that can absolutely step up in that spot. And I'm not sure that Juju completely meets that at this point in his career. There's some guys out there, but again, then you run into the problem of what are the Chiefs willing to do to get more depth and to get a depth chart changer? And I'm not sure that the commitment is there. They're tight on the salary cap. They really don't want to restructure any more contracts than they have to. They will still probably have to restructure either Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith just to free up some cap space for season. But they also don't want to give up any draft picks. So, I can't see them certainly making a trade like for A.J. Brown. I think that's the kind of guy that's completely out of reach. But I'm not even sure they're in a place to give up the resources for a guy like a Brian Thomas or Marvin Harrison Jr. is another possibility, but I don't know if they're in the ballpark. Maybe at Kayshon Boutte, if and when A.J. Brown goes to the Patriots, that's an option. But, and hey, Stephon Diggs gets mentioned. I would probably say like a Keenan Allen or Curtis Samuel or Brandon Cooks would probably be better fits. But at this point, the Chiefs, I mean, urgency is the interesting word, Dan, because I don't sense any urgency from the Chiefs. And I think that's kind of worrisome because I get that, their OTAs are shorter this year. It's a tight turnaround. Even if you sign somebody right now, I mean, you're probably not going to get a lot out of them OTAs, but at least they can start learning the offense and picking up the installs. Waiting until training camp, I just think it's an unnecessary risk.
The interesting thing about Diggs, because we talked about Diggs at length yesterday on the show, is that he has shown up in new situations each of the last 2 years, in Houston and then in New England last season, with young quarterbacks walking into brand new offenses, and he's balled out. And you can understand that there'd be some hesitance to add somebody at this stage and trust them with all the routes, all the plays, and you're going to be a top. If they sign Diggs, he's probably receiver number 1, at least receiver number 2 on the depth chart. But like that would be a guy who could handle it, right? I mean, that would be, if there's one guy on the free agent pool that is the most appealing, it's certainly him. I just don't know about the logistics of how you'd get him to fit underneath the salary cap if he's going to want something in the neighborhood of $20 million a year.
Yeah, and hey, Diggs is interesting in that standpoint too, because you're right. I mean, he's changed teams a couple of times. Even if you go back to, when he went from Minnesota to Buffalo, he has 1,500 yard season that year. He's been a kind of guy, and that's why I kind of look at even Brandon Cooks and Curtis Samuel as those kind of guys too, because they have changed offenses and been productive. I think both those guys have some, West Coast experience. Diggs has a little bit too. So, I mean, I think it helps, but, and then again, I mean, it's going to be the fit of the room. I mean, do they feel like, Diggs would be a good fit with that room? Would he click with Chad O'Shea? Would he click with Eric Bieniemy? And then, how would he click with the other Chiefs receivers and young guys? Because let's face it, that is a young room. And, 33-year-old or about to be 33-year-old, Stephon Diggs comes walking through the door. I mean, he's going to be the unk, as they say. And is that the role model you want? Maybe not. I don't know, but I think you're right. I mean, at this point, even at this point in his career, I think Diggs would be an upgrade in that room for sure.
If there's anything that Chiefs wide receiver room has suffered from over the years, it's been a lack of role models. Matt Derrick joining us here on 580 Sports Talk of ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider on the program. So at this stage now, given the Rice news, if the Chiefs do decide, hey, look, we've got to add somebody, something of substance to this roster. We're not maybe going to go get like an all-pro, but we're definitely like a piece away from feeling like this roster is complete. We've got to add something, and we're going to be willing to, whether it's a restructure, whether it's a post-June 1 cut of somebody, we're going to be willing to make that happen. Is it now more likely that that's wide receiver than it is edge at this point?
It certainly feels like it. I mean, and maybe this is just us from the outside. It could certainly be that, the Chiefs on the inside, maybe they look at it differently. Maybe they feel like that they're already seeing returns as far as the coaching changes go, and that they're fine with the receiver crew that they've got. And, again, I think Patrick Mahomes is underrated in his ability to elevate receivers. I know sometimes you look at it and you're saying like, well, who's the guy that he's elevated? I mean, I would point to a lot of guys, but Marquez may be Marquez Valdes-Scantling might be the big one, because I mean, that dude, after he left Kansas City, has just been, I mean, a shadow of a football player. And Mahomes took that guy up to like 600 yards. And I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers could have still gotten that guy up to 1,600 yards at where he was in his Chiefs career. I mean, I just see night and day about what this guy looked like. And then you see what happened with the Chiefs offense last year when Mahomes wasn't there. And again, I see it. I think it's got to be receiver, because I remember talking to people in the organization last summer, Dan, when, talking about the run game. And, and even then, even last June, they were like, hey, May and June, it was like, hey, we need another running back. We just can't find a guy that we can afford that they think is going to make a difference. And that I think is kind of the same thing here. They don't have a ton of cap space to play with unless they do some more restructuring. They would rather not. I mean, they got to continue to pay bills into the future. So they don't necessarily want to bring in a guy that they've got to pay, or somebody who's going to make a lot of money this year. And again, they don't necessarily want to give up draft capital. So it's like, who's that guy that they can find? It's going to be a tricky thing for, I think, Brett Veach to kind of maneuver to find a guy that they can fit without giving up a lot of resources.
OTAs open Thursday, the 28th of May. So by the time we talk to you next, OTAs will be in full swing, such as it is. Obviously, the big storyline is Patrick Mahomes there? Is he participating? To what level is he participating? But what else are you curious about? What's maybe your number one non-Mahomes related storyline for this Chiefs team entering OTAs?
Yeah, and for OTAs, for me, it's a lot about just kind of seeing where guys are on the depth chart a little bit, and who's maybe stepped up from last year. But the big thing is just who's ready this year. And the two guys who are undergoing rehab this summer, and the other one's kind of under the radar. It's Omar Norman-Lott is the guy who is really with Mahomes, the most questionable as far as an injury standpoint. I expect that pretty much everybody else will practice unless there's anybody else who's maybe had some cleanup. But Omar Norman-Lott's the guy that, not convinced that he's going to do anything during OTAs. The Chiefs would love for him to be able to be at least somewhat available, because there's at least an outside chance that they've got him ready to be a full go at the beginning of training camp. But if he's able to get out there during OTAs and do some stuff, that would be a big lift towards that as well. You're right about Mahomes. I mean, we don't know what he's going to do, if anything. I do expect him to be there for at least a good portion, if not all, of the reduced OTAs this year. Andy Reid did eliminate a week. So instead of 13 practices, they're just going to have 9. And I think Mahomes' injury probably was one of those reasons for it. A lot of teams have done this, and Andy Reid just kind of jumping on the trend. So they won't have as many workouts as they've had in the past, which will make camp a little bit more valuable. But it's going to eliminate a little bit of maybe the movement and the jumps that you would normally see from saying, hey, this guy's looked good during OTAs. let's see it during like the mandatory minicamp how he looks with the ones.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. Appears on the 41 is the Mike podcast, has a social media presence all over. Just search his name, Matt Derrick. And he joins us every Friday in the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline as our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, it is always a pleasure. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friend.
That is Matt Derrick. We will step aside for a break here on the program. When we come back, it's On Second Thought to wrap up this first hour on this Friday here on 580 WIBW. On second thought, I might have been a little snowed by the 3-week stretch where the Royals looked like they might be rolling. I might eaten into their 9 games under 500 record that they had through the first 25 games of the season. Then they went 12-13 in their second 25 games. Better. It's an improvement, 4-game improvement. Leaves them 10 games under 500. Now, if they improve every 25-game stretch by 4 wins, that would have them at a nice 16-9 these next 25, and then 20-5 in the sequence after that, and then 24-1, and then you'd get into negative losses, and those things don't really exist. But yeah, I thought those 3 weeks were a sign of things to come. I think the Royals probably did too. I think the Royals have a belief, an internal belief, and you would frankly want this to be the belief in the clubhouse right now. You hope this is the belief in the clubhouse, like a fervently shared belief that is the team that the Royals can be. They just got to get back to being that team pretty darn quick, because the rest of this homestand will eat them alive if they don't. As for like which Royals player I was the wrongest about 50 games in, I mean, Vinny's the easy answer, right? Because I think we all forecast a big year from him, and that has not materialized. But I really thought the middle relief would look better than this. I did. I thought they'd find something. And Mears hasn't been bad. Nick Mears hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been real trustworthy. It hasn't been real good in the high leverage situations. They're not going to call him Nicky leverage anytime soon. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, are we overrating the Chiefs going into 2026? One set of national power rankings suggests we might be. And which teams are we higher on or lower on than the consensus. We'll get into that. Talk some football in the loaded 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Friday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. You can hear us. You can watch us. You can interact with us. We are, or our only thought, that's what I was getting to. Our only thought is to entertain you. So thanks for being here on this Friday. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Then we'll pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Mariners open a 3-game series. Royals record might suck, but they're 3-0 against the Mariners this year. So they got that going for them, which is nice. Game 1 of a 3-game set at Kauffman Stadium is tonight, 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch. It is Noah Cameron, the southpaw, going for the Royals. It is right-hander Logan Gilbert on the hill for the M's. Royals try and snap out of their funk. Losers of 9 of the last 10. They have dropped to a season worst 10 games below the 500 mark. The first game of the series tonight. Again, you'll be able to catch all 3 games of the series right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. It's the 3:10 first pitch tomorrow, 2:30 pregame on the network. Then a 1:10 Sunday afternoon game, 12:30 pregame start time. Then we got day baseball on Memorial Day, Monday. Monday is Memorial Day. We will not be on the air. We probably would not have made air anyway, given the unique start time for Royals-Yankees on Memorial Day. I believe it is a 2:40 first pitch.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes of us at the to get it to 6 o'clock.
So it would be a 2 o'clock pregame on Memorial Day. So you likely would not have heard much of us anyway, even if we weren't planning to take the day off, which, again, we are. So we are going to take a 3-day weekend, as many of you are. We will enjoy our Memorial Day. We will, of course, on that day, as we hope all of you do, spare a thought for those who have served our country and made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country. Then we're back on Tuesday for a normal week from there on the program. The Royals Mariners tonight, 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch. Still to come on the program today. Are we overrating the Chiefs? Are we looking at this Chiefs roster with the rose-colored glasses, the Chiefs kingdom-colored glasses on? One set of power rankings I came across on the internet made me wonder if maybe we are overrating the Kansas City Chiefs. And so we'll discuss that. Also, in the similar vein of where the consensus sits on the 32 NFL teams, which teams are we higher on or lower on than the consensus? I bet I can guess one team that Spencer is higher on than the consensus. I don't think
the consensus is low
on the Commanders.
I thought it'd be mid.
I think the perception of the Commanders is it's not a playoff team, and I would expect that you would think your guys have a playoff run in them.
Yeah.
Okay. So see. We'll expand on that.
If Jaden Daniels can stay healthy.
Hold your thought. Hold your broader thoughts on that. We'll get into that a little bit later on this hour. We'll also crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll have 2 brand new stories. See if we can take down Wade mode. I think I'm out of Wade jokes.
Thank the Lord.
I think I was already kind of pushing the envelope with a Wade Wilson reference on yesterday's show, but I think I've run through every prominent sports Wade, both locally and nationally. Davis, Dean, Dwayne, Boggs. And then I think the list of like real prominent Wades, like I'm not going to throw a Lamont Wade Jr. reference at you folks. I shout out to Wade Miley. He had a long career. I think he's finally done. Long time left-handed pitcher in the major leagues. Big shout out to him. But
Wade
yeah.
Phillips.
Well, I could have done. You know what? Hold that thought. What is wrong with you is coming up later on this hour. You can text the program, 785-272-9429. You could also interact with us in our live YouTube chat. Name of the YouTube channel, once again, is 580 Sports Talk. Hop in, say hello, interact with your fellow listeners, and grow the 580 Sports Talk community in the YouTube chat. We appreciate those of you who hang out, whether it's on a daily basis or an occasional basis, but have made it a fun place for people to be and to interact with each other as much as you interact with the show. Really, really love what we've built over there and want to add you to the fun. If you're out there listening, you've never been in on the chat, why not give it a shot? 580 Sports Talk's name of the channel. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, we are closing in on 1,000 YouTube subscribers.
23 away.
We got one today. We have added one during the course of the show. Do we think we can add another one this hour? Is there somebody listening in this 4 o'clock hour who is not yet a subscriber to 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, but want to push us closer to that unreachable star of 1,000 subscribers? Go slam that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything but a click. We have, of course, mentioned that we did arm wrestling at 800. We did karaoke at 900. We will have a good time / debase ourselves in some form or fashion when we get to 1,000. I don't know that we're going to get there fast enough, but one idea that I did have. So earlier this week on the program, we had Angel Griego on. She is the race director for the Fiesta Topeka 5K run walk, which is the longest running 5K run / walk in the capital city. It's been around since 1977, and it is coming up at the end of June as part of the Fiesta Topeka festivities. And I had a thought, if we got to 1,000 fast enough, we would all run or walk the 5K. But I remembered end of June. End of June.
Yeah.
Problem. I am in no shape. I can't speak for you. I can't speak for Brendan. I'm in no shape to probably even walk a 5K.
I'll walk it. I walk almost every day now. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's think on it. Maybe we do that. Maybe we get to 1,000. We'll run the 5K.
Hey, we're already up another. Shout out to our texter from the 785
Love it.
that said they
Love
just subscribed.
Appreciate that.
22 away.
22 away. We are.
Hey, can we do it next week before the end of the week when Dan's out next week?
Oh, yes. I am taking a couple days off next week. Do a little family vacation at the end of May. So it'll be Brendan and Spencer in the box, and you guys, yes. For all the grief we used to give Brendan for hitting all the milestones whenever he was out of the studio, if you guys can push it to 1,000 while I'm gone, the last 2 days of next week, I will have no choice but to respect it. and
the only problem is we have one less day next week.
That's true. One less day to get there.
Show.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. God, that would be, we're just throwing out ideas. Don't hold us to anything we said out loud. We had a texter from the 785 suggest a hot dog eating contest. No.
I've done attempted the 999, and the number would be like 5 or 6.
So here's the thing about food contest. Maybe some of you go way back with us on the program. I'm talking way back. I'm talking back to the days before the live stream. I'm talking back to like 2017, maybe 2018, that the 580 Sports Talk crew, which at the time was me and Brendan and, of course, the great Jake LeBon, we engaged in a donut eating contest. Hy-Vee hooked us up with some donuts. We were going to do a donut eating contest, and we streamed it. I think we streamed it live on our Facebook page. I don't know if it still lives on the Facebook page. I don't think it does.
Probably doesn't, because all the live streams
and if it doesn't live there, it doesn't live anywhere, and thank God, because this was not a good look. Because the thing about it is that Hy-Vee supplied us with their donuts. And if you've had a donut from Hy-Vee, sucker's big. Big. And very hard to eat a lot of them in, I think we were given 5 minutes. I think I maybe ate a donut and a half. Like, they were so big and so doughy. And you have the idea of what it's going to look like. Because, we've all, I think the hot dog eating contest is one of the stupidest things in the history of planet Earth. I cannot believe people.
Well, you're not Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. certainly wouldn't bet on it. Like, I can't believe it's a thing that we humor. Like, that this is a thing that we have lent enough credence to, that thousands of people watch it and millions more watch it on television. Like, I think that stuff is gross. And like, I don't mean to yuck anyone's yum, but for me, it's not for me. It's not my brand of entertainment. But I have seen it, right? So I had the thought that, oh, well, that's how I'm going to eat these donuts. Like, I got to like shimmy my body so that the donut goes down the windpipe and into my stomach faster. But these donuts were so big. They were so big. And we just couldn't get them down.
I haven't had a Hy-Vee donut, but there was a place back home that used to have they called them colossal donuts. It was called Shoppers, and they would do the colossal donuts, and we'd have those. I was a competitive swimmer when I was growing up in the little community league thing in the summer, and they would have them at the swim meet. So after you were done, you'd get the colossal donut.
Sure.
Like, you finished your races for the day, you went over to the concession stand and got the colossal donut.
Suggestion from the 785: someone needs to get their back or chest waxed at 1,000 subscribers. Look, I am fortunate. I do not have a hairy back. That would be a colossal letdown. If you said, "Oh, Dan's gonna get his back waxed at 1,000 subscribers," ain't nothing there, brother. It's all on the front or on the head or on the face.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there too.
Yeah, so not a lot of not a lot of back hair situation for any of us. So no, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't get the Steve Carell and the 40-year-old virgin experience. Again, I cannot speak for the rest of the crew, but I don't think you'd get that experience with us. I think you'd be let down. Anyway, appreciate the text 785-272-9429, and of course those of you watching us on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Deontay Lee has his preseason NFL power rankings over at the Ringer. I like Deontay Lee. I think he knows ball, generally speaking. And so I usually read his stuff. There are some NFL writers that, I kind of skip, but I like Deontay Lee over at the Ringer. I think he does a good job. And he ranked the teams 1 through 32, and I opened it up, and I figured I'd see the Chiefs at least in the top 10. That's where you're used to seeing the Chiefs. We've become very accustomed over the years to seeing the Chiefs. Well, I didn't see him. I kept scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I found the Chiefs right in the middle, number 15, the 15th ranked team in the league. And this is what Deontay Lee had to say. Chiefs fans will think I'm a hater for calling their style of play uninteresting and their roster uninspiring, and for critiquing head coach Andy Reid for asking so much of superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes. But last season finally laid bare many of the underlying issues that Mahomes had been able to mask for years. Kansas City long ago lost the juice that had made its offense explosive, and the run game regressed so much that Mahomes had little to no support. He tore his ACL in December while trying to carry the team on his back. The Chiefs' financial situation was too tight this year to allow them to make many additions aside from signing Super Bowl MVP running back Kenneth Walker III. And after losing 2 starting cornerbacks, Trent McDuffie and Justin Watson, he meant Jalen, but it's Justin in the story. Editor didn't catch that. He referred to him as Jalen when in his Rams thing. So I know he knows who he is, just a typo. This team is less talented now than it was a year ago. It will still need Mahomes to do the heavy lifting, and this time he'll be coming off a serious injury. I don't think the Chiefs will be ranked this low forever, but a quarterback alone won't sell me on their title chances. So I want to put a pin in that thought. I don't think the Chiefs will be ranked this low forever. So these rankings clearly are not like potential rankings. This is where Deontay Lee sees these teams as they stand, as OTAs start to open up. Some have already opened up all across the NFL. This is a snapshot. This is not a projection. But the snapshot has the Chiefs 15th. And that is even, I think, with an assumption, and I guess I shouldn't assume this from the author, but the idea that Mahomes is going to be coming back and playing a significant role, obviously, in 2026. But I think if you have the Chiefs ranked this low, I think that you are starting from the assumption that the Chiefs were a 6-11 team last year or something like that. And I do not think that is an accurate depiction of the kind of team the Chiefs had last season, just as I don't think that a 15-win roster was the roster the Chiefs had 2 years previous when they went 15-2. The Chiefs were 6-7. They had the ball. They were driving for a game-tying field goal or a game-winning touchdown against the Chargers when Mahomes blew his knee. So they were 6-7 in that moment with horrendous one-score game variance. And they finished with 4 straight losses, counting the Charger game, and then 3 losses after that with Chris Oladokun playing quarterback. And Chris Oladokun could quarterback the steel curtain defense and have the 1980s 49ers offense with Bill Walsh pulling the strings, and they're not going to win any game. So I think the Chiefs finished last year, accounting for Mahomes, with about a 10-ish win roster talent-wise. Were they worse talent-wise than the year before, the years before when they were winning and going to Super Bowls? Yes, I think that is true. But I do not think that it was a talent level that had slipped so dramatically that I would consider them a middle-of-the-pack team in the National Football League. I think they had as bad a one-score variance as they had good one-score variance in 2024, which I think the roster quality was roughly the same.
Yeah.
Just 2024, they got all the breaks and made all the plays, and in 2025, they got none of the breaks and made none of the plays. Is the roster this year, as we sit here on May 22nd, is it worse than the 2026 roster that ended the season accounting again for Mahomes, a quarterback over Oladokun? I think they're better at wide receiver. They're about the same at wide receiver, tight end, even with the Rashee Rice uncertainty. They're roughly the same at offensive line. You could even count on some year-over-year growth at offensive line.
Yeah.
I think they're deeper at defensive line. I think you can certainly argue better. They're not as good at linebacker. They're not as good at corner.
I think they're unproven at corner.
About the same. Unproven, yes. I agree with that assessment. I think that is
they could
that leads
be good.
To them.
We just don't know what the corners are going to do at an NFL level.
Right. We are banking on development and coaching, allowing the Chiefs to get similar level of performance from a Delane, Noel Williams, Christian Fulton, Kader Kohu group of corners as they did last year from the group of corners that was McDuffie and Watson and really not Fulton because he was hurt the whole year, and Noel Williams is a rookie, and whoever else they had play behind them. But I think you have to say on paper, and that's all we've got right now is paper, that because they are unproven, you cannot say it was as good as last year's cornerback group where you had 2 proven guys, including a Pro Bowl proven guy in Trent McDuffie. So I don't think that the roster has gotten like dramatically worse to the point where, okay, if they were maybe an 11-12 win true talent team 2 years ago, things started to slip a little bit. They were about a 10-win team, 9-10 win team talent-wise last year. I don't think that they're at the point where you would consider them a 500-ish team. And that's what you're saying. If you're saying that the Chiefs are the 15th best team in the NFL, you're saying anybody's 15th best team in the NFL. What you were saying is they're a middle of the pack. They're a mediocrity. They're a team that probably has a 7, 8, 9 win type of roster. And I think that the Chiefs have a better roster than that because I do think Mahomes is the tide that raises a lot of boats here.
Yeah.
And I also think that this team's improvement in the running game, again, Nate Tice actually wrote about this at Yahoo today and made what I think was a really salient point about the ability to be explosive on the ground. The Chiefs were efficient 2 years ago, but they were not explosive. Last year, they weren't either of those things. Efficient, but not explosive, that was fine. But for a Chiefs team that last year couldn't generate explosive plays, they went and got one of the best generators of explosive plays among any running back in the National Football League to add to their group. And to have a presence that has to be, their big playability has to be respected next to the quarterback that you must respect more than any other, the best in the game. I think that is going to elevate this offense to the point where their style of play is not, I think, going to remain uninteresting and uninspiring, which I think was a fair criticism of their offense each of the last 2 years. But was it uninteresting and uninspiring? Yes. But you know what else it was? It still This was a top 10 offense in the league, even without any explosiveness in the running game, even with safeties 20 yards deep, taking away all of the deep shots the Chiefs wanted to run because they did not have to respect Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. This was a top 10 offense, a top 10 performing offense in all of the predictive metrics until the offensive line injuries started to pile up and then Mahomes got hurt. If they are healthy and they add explosiveness on the ground, that would indicate to me that they should get right back to being a top 10 offense, if not better. And it might not be sexy, but it's going to be sexier with Kenneth Walker back there than it was with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. And so I cannot, I understand if you want to say, look, the Chiefs have some proving it to do, because end of the day, 6-11 is 6-11. The record was what it was, and they missed the playoffs. And a lot of teams had really good years in the AFC in that power vacuum. The Patriots went to the Super Bowl. The Broncos won 14 games. The Jaguars won 13 games. Houston made the divisional round of the playoffs. Buffalo remains Buffalo. Baltimore improved a lot. They probably, on paper, improved more than the Chiefs did this offseason. So I understand that perspective of the Chiefs have been knocked from their perch. I do not think they have been knocked that far from their perch. Not to that level for me. I can understand thinking, okay, maybe it's not quite a top 10 team, but fringe top 10 would be as low as I would be willing to evaluate this roster, because I don't think it was a true talent 6-win team last year. I do think Mahomes is going to be there week one, and other than maybe a little bit of hesitance early to scramble, he's going to be as we remember him. And the offense is going to have more room to operate because you can't play the safeties 20 yards off the field or off the line of scrimmage, because if you do, Kenneth Walker's going to house you.
I think the addition of Kenneth Walker right now is pivotal to how the Chiefs start the season, and not leaning 100% into Patrick Mahomes. Has to be the guy right away coming back. He can ease back into things because guess what? They have a running back that can be a workhorse, a running back that can get you good yards, not Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Having that is huge for them, because
it allows them to be less reliant.
Yes, on who they've relied on Mahomes for everything, right?
Yes.
And it only got you so far, and unfortunately, it got him injured last year because they relied on him too much.
If there was going to be something explosive, it wasn't going to come from the running game, so it had to come from the passing game. And with an uninspiring group of wide receivers who teams could kind of plaster to and play two safeties over the top on, so you eliminate some of that downfield speed advantage that guys like Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton have, then yes, you were asking so much of Mahomes. He was the pillar. Kenneth Walker III adds a pillar to go along with that I do think, I'll say this, until and unless an A.J. Brown to the Patriots trade is consummated, I don't think a single AFC contender made a more significant addition to their offense this offseason, a more impactful addition to their offense than Kenneth Walker III. And I'm not even really sure it's close. I know Denver got Jalen Waddle. That gives them another underneath option so Bo Nix can keep throwing 3-yard passes. Like I said, A.J. Brown being a downfield threat, that would be a big, big deal for New England to get, but they don't have him yet. DJ Moore in Buffalo is a number 2 wide receiver, joining a team that's been nothing but number 2 wide receivers since Stephon Diggs left town. That doesn't move the needle for me the same way that the Chiefs bringing in not just a proven option at running back, but the explosive playmaker that Kenneth Walker III has proven to be over the course of his career. That changes so much for the Chiefs offense, I think, in a way that none of those other guys fundamentally change their offenses that they are starting on. Vance asked a question, is the Chiefs' offensive line good enough to support a prolific running back? Vance, I have a 2-word answer to that question. The first word is hell, and the second word is yes. Yeah. Absolutely. You think they're spending a bunch of money on mediocre guys? Like Creed Humphrey is as good a center as there is in the game. Trey Smith is as good a right guard as there is in the game. Josh Simmons has Pro Bowl potential at left tackle, and Kingsley Suamataia was legit good, particularly run blocking, is a first-year starter at left guard. If your biggest question mark is right tackle, and you've got a guy who's an NFL vet who's been on the team and who's ready in an apprentice role to step up and at least maybe not commit all the backbreaking penalties that the guy before him did, yes, that offensive line is absolutely good enough. It should be and has graded out at times as one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
So I think that the struggles that the Chiefs have had at running the football at running back, it has not been because the offensive line isn't adequate. And I think we're actually going to finally see how good that group is when they're blocking for a guy who is going to turn some of those seams and holes into 15, 20, 30, 50-yard gains, which Walker is capable of in a way nobody else on that team has been for the last couple of years.
Exactly, yeah.
We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we're going to crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. Then we'll play a little bit of high-low on the NFL, which teams we're higher on and lower on than the consensus, at least as we sit here on May 22nd. This is 580 Sports Talk. It is time to crown a weekly champion here on What Is Wrong With You. We've got two more stories for the week, trying to take down our current weekly champion, Wade Mode, what the Super Bowl champion Rams defense went in 2021. You alley-ooped, and I threw it down. I appreciate the assist. I think that's the last one I've got. Wade Phillips is good. Oh, Wade Phillips is a good one. Man, I was thinking players. I wasn't thinking coaches. Man, well done. Anyhow, yeah, the guy who drove his Cybertruck into a lake because he thought it would go Wade mode, even though I'm sure the owner's manual says that Wade mode only works in like shallow rivers and creeks. And also, despite the fact that like if you've watched the news, they're recalling the Cybertruck like every other week because, oh yeah, if you push this button, it combusts and you die.
The funniest
I wouldn't drive that thing into any body of water. I don't care if it has Wade mode or not.
The funniest thing about it is a electric battery powered vehicle. Water and that don't mix when you submerge something into water, right?
You would think not.
Your phone doesn't work if you drop it in water. Why would a car that's run on a battery work? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's our winner right now, Wade mode. 2 new stories today, our last stories of the week. Spencer, why don't you go first?
Yeah, we're going to go back to Florida, Monroe County to be exact. A Florida man who was already known and wanted for being a cocaine dealer found himself dealing something else and getting arrested for, as deputies uncovered over 6 pounds of marijuana and a lot of ammunition during a raid on his house. The Monroe County Sheriff said Raheem Christopher Lee Whitney was taken into custody on Thursday. The sheriff's office said they found more than 6 pounds of the marijuana, a Glock handgun with 55 rounds of ammunition, and approximately 30 grand in cash believed to be linked to drug sales during a search of his residence. Whitney had been accused of multiple offenses, including possession of marijuana, possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of drug paraphernalia. Additionally, he was apprehended due to an outstanding warrant related to cocaine sales. According to officers, this is not his first run-in with the law. He was arrested in 2017 for robbing a Dairy Queen. He is currently in jail facing those serious charges that could lead to significant legal consequences.
So they knew he dealt coke, and they found out, oh, we were not familiar with your game.
Yeah, you also deal weed.
Yeah,
a lot of it. You have a lot of it on your possession and money.
A whole lot of it. All right, for my story, we're going to Toledo, Ohio. Kindergarten graduation at Queens of the Apostles School turned violent when a fight over seating broke out among parents, leaving the ceremony canceled, and none of the families able to watch their children walk across the stage. We have an eyewitness report from Craig Mays, who's actually the victim here. Craig Mays talked to 13 Action News, WTVG in Ohio. Quote, here's the setup. The children were downstairs rehearsing when parents started fighting over seats. This is what Mays said. There was another family who started to grab their own chairs and kind of like make their own space and make their own seating. Typical behavior. You don't think rules apply to you. Rules are for other people, but not for you, which I really didn't have a problem with, Mays goes on. But my kid's mom, they were right in front of her and she couldn't see. Mays said he tried to calm things down, but a woman behind him wouldn't let it go. The girl behind me, Mays says, she's just talking, just cussing, talking crazy, calling us weird and saying we need to mind our business. Police identified that woman as Jessica Anderson. She is charged with felonious assault. Court records said she grabbed someone by the hair and struck her head against the chair.
Jeez.
The victim needed stitches.
Wow.
Mays said he and Anderson went back and forth, and that's when her family jumped him.
Wow.
More from the victim. Her whole family in the first 2 rows stood up. 5 guys, 5 girls. I literally don't remember anything. I just know I was sucker punched. Once he was on the ground, he said the attack continued. It was probably 4 or 5 other guys that were on top of me, trampolining me and punching me, kicking me in the head. His child's mother tried to help. Video shows Anderson grabbing that woman by the hair along with several other women. 5 or 6 other girls just came and trampled her and was just stomping her and kicking her in the face, Mays said. School leaders called 911. School has not announced when it will reschedule the graduation, which again was for kindergarten. Wow. Kindergarten. What example are you setting? What example are you setting for those kids to have a full-scale brawl over where you're sitting for kindergarten graduation? Look, I'm not here to I am sure that when my son one day graduates kindergarten, I will be very proud and I will want to be there and I will want to see him walk across the stage and I will clap for him and we'll take some pictures and we'll have a good time. I'll sit wherever. Like, oh, you're gonna be weird and difficult, and you're gonna sit in front of where we're sitting to make it hard for us to see. Guess I'll move. Like, that's part of it. Like, you don't need to be so stubborn about this. Like, those people are clearly like spoiling for a fight.
Yeah.
Just get out of the situation. At the same time, why are you going to kindergarten graduation spoiling for a fight?
I don't know. I did hear that something quite similar happened at a high school graduation here in town, and then now that high school is forced to have their high school graduation not at the Stormont Vale Event Center.
Yeah.
So,
no, look. There are stereotypes out there about how people act at graduation.
Yeah.
I can tell you it is not like there's not a barrier. It's just like people make that decision that they're going to be. It doesn't matter. Like, there were people that were loud and obnoxious at my graduation. I went to a very suburban high school, and there were people that, don't clap until the end. Nobody listens to that. Yeah. Like, you're going to act the fool at graduation. Turn it into, as a texter from 785 says, WWE Family Royal Rumble. I just can't imagine. Like, that is not your day. Like, keep in mind who you're there for. And it's like, oh.
Can you imagine being those very young kids?
Yeah. Like, they didn't see this, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But imagine being told, hey, so this thing we were just, rehearsing for, yeah, we can't do it today. We'd rather not tell you why.
And then you're the victim. This kid, you go home and you're like, oh my,
yeah, like where's mom, or where's my aunt? Yeah, like, wow. In jail, that's where she is. She thought that where she got to sit to watch you walk across the stage was worth fighting over, was worth giving somebody stitches over, was worth going to jail and being charged with a felony over. Stupidity at its finest. I think that wins today. I do not think that is funnier than Wade mode.
No. You're right. Wade mode, I think, like, come on.
Wade mode is a two-word phrase that in and of itself is good enough to be a monthly contender. No doubt about it. Wade mode is our weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, which teams are Spencer and I higher or lower on than the consensus in the NFL as it currently stands on May 22nd? We'll discuss next on 580 Sports Talk. Wade mode is recruiting a bunch of 24-year-olds to play for your college basketball team. Almost forgot about Will Wade. That's my last one. I'm done. I promise.
Go out on top. Mic drop it.
Dan and Spencer with you on 580 Sports Talks, 446 on this Friday afternoon. So the discussion we had about the Chiefs, top of the hour, I was looking at Deontay Wade's, not Deontay Wade. I don't know who that is. Deontay Lee of the Ringer had his off-season power rankings. He's got the Rams number 1, Seahawks number 2, Broncos number 3, Bills 4, Texans 5, Eagles, Lions, Patriots, Ravens, Packers rounding out the top 10, Chiefs at 15. We talked about the Chiefs a little bit.
Yes.
These are obviously not the only off-season power rankings that are out there, but just generally speaking, like based on like what we've kind of just look, we got our ears to the streets. We know what people think of different teams. We know whose stock is high. We know whose stock is down. Which teams are we higher or lower on than the consensus seems to be? We'll start with higher. What team are we higher on than the consensus? I will say, for me, I'm a little higher on the Chargers, I think, than some of the consensus. And maybe my perception of the consensus is skewed because our NFL insider on the program, Matt Verderam, thinks they're going to miss the playoffs. He is not a fan of that roster. He is not a fan of their schedule is brutal. He thinks that is not a playoff team this coming season. And they've been a playoff team each of the last 2 years. They're going to get Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater back at left tackle. I know their interior offensive line isn't awesome, but their bookends are as long as they're on the field. Justin Herbert, to me, obviously playoff Justin Herbert is a different conversation, but regular season Justin Herbert is very good. And I'm fascinated to see what he looks like with a real offensive coordinator. Because I don't think that the Chargers have had real great offensive coordinators for Herbert. And now they have Mike McDaniel. I think they're going to spin some straw into gold on offense this coming year. I think they upgraded on defense a little bit. I think I am higher on the Chargers than the consensus. I guess I'll go ahead and dovetail it. Like, I think the Chargers are better than the Broncos. I'll just go ahead and say it right there. I think the Chargers are better than the Broncos. I do not think the Broncos are a true talent 14-win team, and I just don't think Bo Nix has any better to get than he already is. I think Herbert might have another level to get to under McDaniel. So I guess that's my dovetail answer there. Like, I still think I will probably predict 3 AFC West teams in the playoffs, which is what happened 2 years ago, because I do think that Denver's floor is pretty high, but I think that their ceiling is not near what people think it is. I think their ceiling and floor look very similar. And I think the ceiling for the Chargers is a little higher than people are giving it credit for. So for you, Spencer, who are you higher on, who are you lower on?
I am higher on the Bengals.
Okay.
They're sitting at 17.
In this power ranking.
I think by getting rid of
Trey
Hendrickson, it's an addition by subtraction. You were able to get 3 guys on the defensive line that were worth what he thought he was, right? Because the whole thing surrounding us, he wanted a big extension. They weren't going to give him a big extension. You got Dexter Lawrence, who he's not great, but when you put everybody as a whole, they got Boye Mafe. I think that's a huge win for them on an end. They got Jonathan Allen. He can be good inside. I think you team him with Dexter Lawrence inside in their 4-3 defense. I think is pretty good. They got Brian Cook at free safety from the Chiefs, obviously via free agency. And look, Joe Burrow has to compete in the NFC North against a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I think he can beat him. I think they can be better. Whoever the Browns are going to roll out a quarterback this year, I think they're going to contend for the AFC North title this year with the Ravens.
I'm not. They definitely have overhauled their defense. Brian Cook, another nice addition for them. I just think that I've got to see it to believe it with the Bengals defense. And frankly, with Burrow making it through a 17-game schedule. There's that part of it too. Like, I got to see him hold up for 17 games again because we haven't seen that for a few years. But I do think that is the team whose ceiling is playoff team. And if their defense really is improved, then I think they are a team that makes the AFC very dangerous at the top. Who are you lower on? Or, lower on. Who you hate? Do a little hating.
Let's see. Who am I lower on? The Bears.
Interesting. Why the Bears?
I don't think Caleb Williams is that good. I think he might have had one good season. And I think overall as a team, like, they're going to regress this year under Ben Johnson. I think offensively they're only so good. Also, I think their organization has too many distractions because they just put out a damn bulletin telling people they're not going to work with Chicago. So that has nothing to do with the football aspect of it. But, like, people are mad at the team probably. So I think that people not wanting to support a team might make things different in Chicago.
See, I really like Caleb. I think the rocket ship's going up for Caleb Williams.
I just think he's too much of a diva.
I don't think that about him at all. I think he's a dude. I think he's a dude, man. I think he's I would much rather have, I still believe that he'll be the best quarterback in that class when it's all said and done. And I know Drake May just did what he did, went to a Super Bowl. I still believe that when all said and done, Caleb Williams will have had the best career of anybody in that class. Better than May, better than Daniels, better than Nix, better than all those guys. Better than J.J. McCarthy.
Well, anybody's going to be better than J.J. McCarthy.
Sorry, 9. That's a bit of a cheap shot. No, I'm still holding my Caleb Williams stock, and I'll buy more if you let me. I'm a big believer. He's got that it that you can't coach. I think you can tone him down. You can get him to make better decisions. He'll learn. He'll get better feel for the game. But he's got that it in a big moment that I do not think you can coach. And that's why he's my long-term bet.
The only thing I'm worried about is that offensive line holding up because he got sacked way too many times in his first year.
That is true. Yeah, there were a lot of sacks. I mean,
he was sacked 68 times. I mean, he brought it down to 24 last year, but they had a better offensive line. So
we'll take a break, come back with Change My Mind to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. All right, change my mind time. Spencer, you go first today.
Change my mind. Bobby Wood Jr. will win the AL MVP this year.
I mean, somebody else is going to have to take it from him. He's been streets ahead of the rest of the American League when it comes to player value.
Can he win MVP on like the worst team, and not the worst team, but a team that probably won't make the playoffs?
There is historical precedence for that happening.
Yeah,
certainly there is. So I won't rule that out. Like if he finishes as like a 8-9 WAR player and like nobody else is around like 6 or 7, like nobody else is up there with him, I don't think anybody is gonna would. I think he would get the votes. I think the voting now is much more inclined to reward like if he's that much better. Like right now, he is half a win better, more than half a win better than any other position player in the American League. Half a win better.
Yeah.
And so if he finishes a win or a win and a half better than any other player in the league, I think he can win it. Texter points out Zach Greinke won Cy Young on a bad Royals team that finished last in 2009. I remember I watched a lot of those starts. I was all in. I was an early adopter on Greinke. I watched a lot of those starts on MLB TV living in Warland, Wyoming that summer. Cy Young's always been a little bit different because you can be like the best pitcher. Like Steve Carlton won 27 games for like a 55-win Phillies team and won Cy Young. So that one's always been a little bit different, Cy Young relative to MVP. But, Bobby Wood Jr.'s having an MVP season. And it would be a shame if the only knock against him was his team only won like 70 games.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. When we come back in the 5 o'clock hour, we got sports headlines, the playoff roundup. We'll talk some baseball on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Final hour of the day, final hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. At 6 o'clock, we'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Game 1 of a 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium between the Royals and the Mariners. First pitch, 6:40. Pregame coverage right at 6 o'clock here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Coming up in this 5 o'clock hour, we'll preview that Royals-Mariners series this weekend. Also, big picture, Major League Baseball has a problem. And the problem continues to be, no matter what rule changes they put in the game, still not enough offense. And we'll discuss that. We've also got a full slate of headlines I mentioned, including a playoff roundup. Got some sad news from the entertainment world. Rob Bass has died. Nothing?
I don't know who that is.
One of the most famous opening lines in hip-hop history from his and DJ Easy Rock's It Takes Two. I want to rock right now. I'm Rob Bass, and I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone.
Okay. It took me a second to realize who that was.
Because I get stupid. I mean, outrageous. Don't be around me if you're contagious. The line that I always laugh about from that song, but It Takes Two, like, you know it. Even if you don't know it, you know it. You've heard it. You've been to a sporting event, ever been to a Royals game and they turn a double play? Like, I don't know that they play it every time, but if you've been to a baseball game somewhere, some summer, and somebody has turned a double play, you better believe the sound guy has queued up It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. And maybe if you're lucky, it's an inning-ending double play, and they'll let it ride into the between innings, and you'll get to hear Rob Bass do it. The line that always stuck with me that I think was funny from that song, it's a long song. He's got like 4 verses.
It's 5 minutes and 11 seconds, or at least the music video is.
It's a long song. And toward the end, it's one of those that was on, like, if you had I think it was on the original Jock Rock from ESPN. It was definitely a Jock Jam. I don't know if it made the original Jock Rock, but it was certainly on one of those Jock Rock, Jock Jams CDs that came out there in the late 90s. But there's a line in the fourth verse of the song where he says, "Because I'm Rob Bass, the one who knows about things." And I can really relate to that. You know, I can't relate to every line in rap or hip hop. I'll never like own a really nice sports car. Yeah, that's the one. See, if you know it, you know it. Careful we don't get DMCA'd on the YouTube side.
Yeah, I did instrumental version too, so
good,
then there
good.
would be no lyrics
Yes.
to find it.
This is a tribute. Please, this is a tribute. Please don't DMCA us. But
Quick little bit.
yeah, I won't always be able to like relate to lines in rap, but I can always relate to that line from Rob Bass because I too know about things. I do.
I think I've heard a remix of this before.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
I think that's where I've heard like more recent.
It is an all-time hip-hop classic. It is an all-time stadium jam classic. Rob Bass, DJ Easy Rock. Yeah, Rob Bass died today, 59 years old. That's tough. Anyhow, let's get to some actual headlines here on the program. We're going to start with a Major League Baseball transaction. The Los Angeles Angels have selected the contract of Donovan Walton and outfielder Wade Meckler. That is to say, the Angels have gone Wade. I'm sorry, man. I couldn't resist. I didn't know.
What are the odds that there's a Wade that
just popped into the news today? Yeah. I have the vaguest familiarity with Wade Meckler. I think he was a Giant like 2 or 3 years ago. He had his contract purchased by the Angels literally today, and I saw that transaction come across my social media timeline. And during the top of the hour break, I said I have to do it. Another Wade in the news. I have to do it. Anyway, that is actually not where we are going to begin our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to start with a Big 12 baseball tournament update. Kansas State's season is over. The Cinderella run comes to a halt last night after a 4-2 loss to the number 2 overall seed, West Virginia. K-State and their starting pitcher, Lincoln Sheffield, acquitted themselves well, but couldn't get bats going against Big 12 Pitcher of the Year, Max Yell. Fell behind, halved the deficit in the 7th, but could get no closer, and lost 4-2. So the season is over for K-State. Pete Hughes, after the game, said it was the most talented team he'd ever had at Kansas State, but there were obviously some injuries. There were some struggles on the pitching side of things, and instead of a third straight NCAA tournament berth, K-State is done. Kansas is not, though they made harder work of it than they needed to, blowing a 6-0 lead and a 7-5 lead with 2 outs in the 9th inning, allowing Baylor to rally and tie the score. But it would be the Jayhawks who would move on in dramatic fashion with an 8-7 win, a walk-off home run by Savion Flowers, his first home run of the season.
Wow, what a time.
Giving the Jayhawks an 8-7 win, the 40th win of the season for KU, the 5th time they've won 40 games in a season, 2nd time in as many years. So KU moves on, and they will play in about an hour and 15 minutes or so in the first of 2 semifinals tonight in Surprise, Arizona. KU taking on the number 5 seed Oklahoma State, who yesterday defeated number 4 seed UCF 12-6. The other semifinal is chalk, the number 2 seed and the number 3 seed West Virginia off of their win over K-State, and number 3 seed Arizona State, who drubbed Cincinnati last night 10-2. 6:30 start for KU Oklahoma State. You will be able to watch it on ESPN Plus. If they win, they will play in Saturday's championship game. That is a 6:30 start time. That will be on ESPN2.
It looks like if they win tonight, things are looking good for a regional bid host. But if they don't win, they're kind of right there on the edge right now as the predictors are saying headed into tonight's game. I also just want to give people an update. If you're a Wichita State baseball fan, they're still in the American Conference tournament.
Oh, okay.
They unfortunately fell yesterday afternoon to Rice 5-4. They were leading 4-1, I think, and unfortunately Rice came back. But the American Conference tournament is a double elimination tournament once you get past the first day. So they will take on, I believe they're the 8th seed.
They're the 7th
seed. They'll take on 5th seed Memphis this evening from Baycare Ballpark in Clearwater, Florida.
I've been there. I've been to Baycare Ballpark.
If they win that, they'll go on in the winner or the double elimination side for a chance to play tomorrow evening against the winner of game. They're still on the side. The American Conference Championship game is set for Sunday at 11 a.m. Central if they are to win and get that far.
Yeah, they would play either UAB or Rice if they win tonight.
Yes.
Baycare Ballpark. We left Baycare Ballpark.
You went on that when you were down in Florida. You went to
went on vacation to Tampa. It would have been, but it was before Asher was born, so it was 2023. And we went down there, and we came out of that day with a lot of free stuff. My father-in-law, because he's a veteran, he got a free ticket.
There you go.
And it was hat day, so we got free Clearwater Threshers hats. And then my wife blew out a flip-flop walking the concourse. So, you go into the team store, and it's a spring training ballpark. It's where the Philadelphia Phillies have their spring training. So it's a bigger team store than you usually get in a minor league park because it's got a bunch of Phillies stuff too. So you go in there not really expecting that they're going to have like shoes, but you got to ask, right? Hail Mary. They had like a sandal night not long before, and they had a spare pair. So my wife's got some Clearwater Threshers sandals.
That was clutch, though.
Oh, it was huge. It was huge. Man, we had an armful of free stuff. Saw a pretty good ball game. No, he didn't play. Justin Crawford was on that team. He's now the everyday center fielder for the Phillies, but he didn't play that day, which was kind of a drag. Anyway, that's my Baycare Ballpark story. Thank you for that, Spencer. Well, let's stay on the topic of National Bat and Ball Sports Tournament, shall we?
Yeah, checking in on Super Regional Softball action. Isaac Kennedy and number 11 Texas Tech defeated number 6 Florida 10-8 in game 1. Not sure exactly what's happening when game 2 is.
I think it will be tomorrow. Yeah, it's on ABC. National television.
Well, she deserves it.
Yes. Texas Tech certainly as a program deserves it. Nyjah Kennedy deserves that spotlight. It was a high-scoring affair today, 10-8. Texas Tech had to rally back. They had an early lead. It got away. Florida tied it at 8. Tech hit a pair of home runs, I think, in the top of the 7th to pull back ahead and win the game 10-8.
So game 2, 1:30 tomorrow on ABC, and then if Florida wins, there'll be a game 3 Sunday.
There is already one team through to the Women's College World Series. Tennessee swept Georgia, beat them earlier today 2-1. Wamigo's Peyton Hardenberger on that Tennessee team, so there's a Kansas connection there as well. Other scores from today: Oklahoma lost. How about that?
Wow.
Mississippi State out-hit the mighty Sooners 11-9. So Oklahoma faces elimination tomorrow. Nebraska putting it on Oklahoma State. That's a 7-0 lead for the Huskers. Bottom of the 4th there in Lincoln. Arkansas doubling up Duke 10-5 in the 5th in that super regional. Later tonight, Alabama LSU and UCLA UCF are matchups in the softball super regionals. Get on the softball. Like this, if you didn't get on the regional softball, get on at the super regionals, because the Women's College World Series is a ride, man. And you're going to want to pick. Well, I mean, if you're hearing us, you're probably going to side with Texas Tech and Nyjah Kennedy, just for the sentimental attachment to one of the finest athletes to ever come out of the capital city of Kansas. But
a lot of people from the Topeka area made the trip to Oklahoma. Is that where the women's is? Oklahoma City?
Women's College World Series, yes.
When they were in there last year, because I remember seeing a sign like
Devon Energy Park,
from Topeka, we're here to cheer on you, Kennedy.
Yeah, so not a surprise to hear that. I'm sure that folks would love the opportunity to see her one last time at the College World Series. They were Women's College World Series. They were the runners-up nationally, of course, last year to Texas. Next headline. We got an in-state basketball showdown coming December to the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. Kansas State and Wichita State have agreed to play a neutral court game next season. K-State basketball chief of staff Wes Long spoke to the media earlier today, along with general manager Sean Ritigliano. They both did a Zoom call with media earlier today, and the big scheduling takeaway from that conversation was that Wichita State and Kansas State will renew hostilities. Last time they played, 2024, I think it was at Coke. It was part of a 4-year agreement. There would be 2 games. I think it was
actually in Kansas City.
You might be right. I gotta go find the story now, but
because I don't think Tang would play them.
So no, well, the punchline, as it were, is that the last of the meetings that were contracted, Wichita State beat the hell out of K-State. This was Tang's 2nd year, pretty sure, and Wichita State beat them by 19, just ran them off court. This was not even a good Wichita State team. And Kansas State got embarrassed. And after the game, Jerome Tang said, it doesn't really make any sense for us to play them. It doesn't do us any good, basically, was his takeaway. It's like, this doesn't help us. It doesn't help our program to play Wichita State, so we're not going to do it moving forward. And obviously it didn't come off real good, but we were all kind of in the afterglow of Jerome Tang going to the Elite Eight and kind of let it ride a little bit. And now that kind of seems to be in character with everything that came after that.
You're right. It was at Coke Arena in 24.
Yeah. So
in 23, it was the Wildcat Classic.
Yes. And I was there. I was at that game. And then 22, they played. So I guess it would have been Tang's 3rd year then that they got beat. 2nd year was the Wildcat Classic, because I was at that game and K-State won that game. And then
K-State won the game in Bramlage December 3rd of 22.
Yes. I remember Kamau Stokes had a
55-50.
Kamau Stokes was on the broadcast of that game. I remember, because I was driving back from, I think Brendan and I were driving back from the Big 12 championship. And we were listening to
it was around that date range.
Yeah, we were listening to, wouldn't have been Wyatt, obviously. He was busy that day. But he had the football game. But I think it was Brian Smoller and Kamau Stokes were on the broadcast. And Kamau Stokes was as big a homer. Like if you think old Stan Weber's a homer on the K-State Sports Network from Learfield, you should have heard Kamau Stokes that night going crazy. That was a good game. It was tight to the finish, and K-State pulled it out with some plays late. But yeah, it was a 3-year agreement, and at the end of it, K-State got poleaxed at Koch Arena, and
Buddy
Jerome
Rich
Tang's
was the leading scorer with 20 points.
That tells you all you need to know. And Jerome Tang's like, this doesn't benefit us. Well, clearly Casey Alexander feels a little bit differently. We're going to get a K-State.
He said so in his meeting when he was asked about scheduling, and somebody asked him about Wichita State specifically, and he said he'd basically be open to playing that game. He thinks playing any game against anybody in state helps both teams and helps teams get better.
Yeah, and I agree with that, frankly. I don't think that I don't think this is a game that Kansas State should consider themselves above.
Yeah.
KU is a different conversation, and I understand why they don't play that game. But like that's the stratosphere that Kansas exists in, and the stratosphere that Kansas State lives in, which is it's just different. Even when Kansas State is good, it's not the same stratosphere as where KU lives. So anyway, you get K-State and Wichita State at the T-Mobile Center. I'm excited. I will be there. Next headline.
Yeah, we're going to get some Royals transaction news. Unfortunately, you homer for a team in their last game. They might lose the game, but you hit a 2-run homer. Then you get DFA'd the next game day.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
That's Elias Diaz. He got DFA'd today as they recalled up Tyler Tolbert, who plays obviously a bunch of positions, but it seems like they are going to roll with 2 catchers in Carter Jensen and Salvador Perez. To me, this means Perez is going to he's already in the lineup catching tonight. He's better. He was hurt, and now it seems like he's better.
That's exactly the takeaway here, is that Diaz was around as a contingency if Salvi's sore hip/groin was going to keep him from catching on a given day.
And it did quite a few times.
It did. But if they don't have the need to carry 3 catchers, that means Salvi's feeling good. And if his pull side home run on Wednesday night against Boston wasn't example of that, then this is concrete evidence that the captain's feeling good.
Yep. And the Royals also announced a rehab assignment. Cole Reagans will begin a rehab assignment tomorrow, and Rogers had some numbers on this. He's scheduled to pitch in AAA Omaha tomorrow, set for 4 to 5 innings or 60 to 65 pitches, which they think is a good baseline to start out as he gets back on the mound. And I would assume that means maybe if he goes the 4 innings, he's going to maybe need another one and then go 5 to 6 and 65 to 75.
It depends, because he's been throwing. This doesn't come out of nowhere. A lot will be revealed by the length of his first rehab outing. Yeah. Like if it's a 2 inning thing and they're just trying to ease him back in, that'd be one thing. But if he's out there and he's on like a 65 pitch limit or a 70 pitch limit, that would be a sign that we would maybe see him sooner rather than later. Either way, it is excellent news that the Royals' best starting pitcher is ready to get back on a big league mound. Let's get to an NFL headline here. We'll bring you a couple of NFL headlines in a row here on the 580 Sports Talk headlines. Matthew Stafford has agreed to terms with the Los Angeles Rams on a 1-year contract extension worth $55 million, which can rise to as much as $60 million with incentives. Stafford is scheduled to make $40 million this season, gets a $5 million roster bonus with this extension that's fully guaranteed at signing, and the remaining $50 million becomes guaranteed at the start of the next league year. There is some speculation that this might be to mollify Stafford after the team drafted his replacement with the 13th overall pick, instead of trying to get one more piece that could get him past the Seahawks and over the top in the NFC and win a Super Bowl. I don't know how true that is or not, but I do know that I would be surprised if Stafford plays beyond the extension. Like, as beat up as he was going into last year and as much as he had to go through just to be on the field. Now, he played great. Won his first MVP. He was awesome. So this is not, I think Matthew Stafford is washed. I do not think he's washed at all. I think he's pretty clearly a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. but how long can he physically do it? How long is he willing to put his body through it? And how long are the Rams going to want him to do it before then they start to worry that they've maybe not made a very good investment with the number 13 overall pick in 2026? So maybe I should rephrase. I am all but certain that Stafford will not play beyond the extension in Los Angeles. Whether he plays beyond that extension anywhere else in the league, that's I guess that's his choice. Maybe he'll be the next Aaron Rodgers, and we'll do the dance with him that we've been doing with Double A-Ron the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, look, you give him that 1 year extension. I think that just means, hey, I'm gonna give you 2 more years.
Yeah, that's. I think that is the case in
for
Los
a guy
Angeles,
with his injury history too.
Yeah,
like
tough to imagine he'd want to put his body through it, but he did it last year and he won an MVP and was a game away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So those guys are wired differently than you and me. Give me one more NFL headline, please.
Yes, one more last NFL headline. The Giants have gone through OTAs, and defensive lineman Roy Robertson Harris tore his Achilles yesterday during their OTA workout. He'll miss what is expected to miss the 2026 season. Obviously, it's a blow to their interior defensive line because they traded Dexter Lawrence. So, yeah, they do have Shelby Harris, DJ Reader on their defensive line, but not great for
not how they wanted to start their offseason.
Also,
for sure.
It's being reported that why am I blanking on the receiver?
Malik Neighbors could be in doubt to start the season. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder.
And I believe that came out of Harbaugh's mouth.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe buying a little bit of Giant stock, but the recent injury news has me maybe thinking twice. Yeah. One last note when we get to before the playoff roundup, we talked about it yesterday on the program. Obviously, it was breaking news during the program. The sudden and shocking and sad death of NASCAR superstar Kyle Busch, who passed away unexpectedly yesterday of an illness at the age of just 41. No cause of death has yet been given, but according to a 911 call obtained Friday by the Associated Press, it was revealed that Busch had experienced shortness of breath, felt as if he was overheating, and was coughing up blood the day before his death. That was while he was testing in the Chevrolet racing simulator in Concord, North Carolina on Wednesday when he became unresponsive and was transported to a hospital where, unfortunately, he passed away yesterday. His race team, Richard Childress Racing, announced today that they will effectively retire Busch's number 8, that the car that they own in the Cup Series will continue to race this season, but will race with a different number rather than the 8 that has become synonymous with Kyle Busch over his time at RCR, that the car will race under a different number.
I believe 33.
Richard Childress Racing also said that the number will be there for Kyle's son, Brexton, when he is ready. Brexton Busch, just 11 years old, but regarded as a prodigy in the auto racing world. There isn't much doubt among people who are in the know on such things that he's going to be out there one day. And as sad as it will be that he will never get to share those tracks with his father, he'll get to race with his number. And when I saw that in the press release that, hey, that number's yours when you're ready, Brexton, boy, that hit me in the solar plexus. I gotta tell you.
One more quick thing here. NASCAR CEO Steve O'Donnell spoke today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, head of the Coca-Cola 600, and he was asked a very fair question of would they postpone the race this weekend, and he said, quote, "I think it's a fair question when you look at what minimal conversations did take place between RCR, ourselves, and family. It was Kyle Busch would be pretty pissed if we didn't race. So we're going to honor his memory and make sure people know what he was all about." So I mean, just growing up watching him, I think that's exactly true. Like he wanted to race. He wanted to race so much that he raced all 3 series.
Yeah.
In a regularity.
Won more NASCAR National Series races than any other driver. And
won quite a few races at Kansas Motor Speedway.
The most, in fact, won 7 races at Kansas Motor Speedway. All the tributes that outpoured yesterday from his competition, even guys who did not like him, or at least on a competitive level, like Brad Keselowski, were really, really touching, and all kind of carried the same feeling. Like Yeah, that guy could be an SOB, but I'm going to miss that SOB.
Well, Dale Jr. and him had their on-track squabbles during.
Yes, and
careers,
it sounds like they were able to patch those up. Like Dale Jr. went to a lot of therapy, and I say that like complimentary. Like that is a person who is in touch, like with himself and with feelings and emotions, and is in a very healthy place, like as a person. So like, there's a lot to admire about Dale Earnhardt Jr.
So Junior races, I can't remember the name of the thing, late model stock cars. He has a team and he does it from time to time. He did it last summer. I guess Kyle had talked to him about racing a late model race in North Carolina this summer, and literally next week they were supposed to meet and get the seat fitted.
That's just such a shame. Anyway, again, no great segue talking about a story like that, but let's get on to a playoff roundup to wrap up our headlines today.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We'll start with hoops. It's a 2-0 series lead for the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals as they defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 109-93 last night at Madison Square Garden. Josh Hart with 26 points, Jalen Brunson 19 points. A 2-0 series lead, much less drama than in Game 1. A no-nonsense routine win for the Knicks, who are 2 wins away from going to the NBA Finals for the first time since the strike-altered the lockout-altered, 1999 season. Tonight,
the next time we have a show and do a playoff roundup, they could sweep.
Yes, that series
could be over.
I expect it to be over by the time we do our next playoff roundup. Tonight, Game 3 in a tied Western Conference final. The scene shifts to San Antonio, where the Spurs and the Thunder will meet. That series is tied at 1. In the NHL, if you bought big on the favorites in the conference finals, you might be a little nervous after the Game 1s in the respective conference finals, as both favorites find themselves in 1-0 holes. The Carolina Hurricanes scored 37 seconds into Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. 23 seconds later, it was tied at 1. 12 minutes later, they were down 4-1. And Montreal eased to victory from there. The Canadiens defeat the Hurricanes 6-2 in Raleigh to take a 1-0 series lead. Tonight, Game 2 in the Western Conference Finals in Denver. The Vegas Golden Knights with a 1-0 series lead in the Colorado Avalanche, who will once again be without star defenseman Cale Makar due to injury. That's such a big freaking deal. Like, it's one thing to say, all right, next man up, but it's hard to next man up one of the 5 best players in the NHL, which I think you can credibly argue Makar is. Like, he's going to win the Norris Trophy. Like, he's that dude. And the Avs were admittedly disjointed without him in Game 1. Hopefully for my sake, they've made the necessary adjustments. I'm going to be, I'm going to crash out a little bit if they go behind 2-0 to the extremely unlikable. There may not be more. There's certainly teams I don't like, but just like as in terms of like the vibes of their organization, I'm not sure there are many more easily dislikable sports franchises in the major 4 sports than the Vegas Golden Knights. Just not a whole lot to like about them. Very plastic. But they played great in Game 1 and deserve to win. And even though they won't have Mark Stone, one of their star forwards, in Game 2, they have a chance to take a 2-0 series lead back home in the Western Conference Finals. That's your playoff roundup. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, does Major League Baseball have an offense problem? Yes. We'll tell you what it is next. 537 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you. Royals offense hasn't been very good in the last 10 days or so. For the season, though, the Royals still find themselves roughly league average, now a bit below. They've hovered between right at league average and a shade below for the better part of this 2026 season, and that's per OPS plus on Baseball Reference, or if you'd rather, WRC plus on Fangraphs. Right now, the Royals have a 98 OPS plus, 2% worse than league average. They're at 94 WRC plus, 6% worse than league average. Just a general measure of where they stand relative to the league. Well, what does that look like in terms of like the raw numbers, the back of the baseball card numbers? Well, the Royals are hitting 237 as a team. That's their batting average, with a 314 on base percentage and a 382 slug. That's a 696 OPS on base plus slugging. And that's slightly below league average. Now, league average is also park weighted. So that's how you have two teams that are right at 100 WRC plus, and they have different looking batting lines. Milwaukee and Baltimore right now sort of represent the league average. Milwaukee's hitting 247 with a 335 on base and a 364 slug. Baltimore's only hitting 233 with a 314 OBP, but much better slug, 386 as a team. Those don't sound like really good numbers to you, probably. Like, those are not numbers that, like, if there was one Royal that had a 237 average and a 314 on base and a 382 slug, you would probably be hoping that the Royals had somebody better than him to put in the lineup. That's not like a line that feels really good. That is still right around league average. Offense continues to be a problem in baseball, and it's been a problem in the month of May. Joe Sheehan had the league-wide numbers for May, because it's one thing, the league usually gets off to a slow start in April offensively, and there's a variety of reasons for that. Weather is a factor. But April numbers usually lag behind the numbers for the rest of the season. May is when it's supposed to pick up a little bit. It is not picking up. The league in May is batting 236 with a 310 on base percentage and a 382 slugging percentage. And the average runs per game in a regulation game. So throw out some of the nonsense that happens with the fake base runners in the 10th inning and beyond. Throw those fake runs out. In the first 9 innings of a game, on average, we are seeing a total of just over 8 runs per game scored between two teams.
Wow.
Major League Baseball has made a lot of changes over the last 2-3 years. We've instituted the pitch clock. We've limited how often pitchers can pick off or disengage with the rubber. Try and encourage base stealing, more aggressive base running. We've made the bases bigger to try and encourage the same. We've outlawed the extreme defensive shifts. You still see a second baseman or a shortstop standing pretty close to the second base bag with a lefty or righty up, depending on the handedness of the batter. But you don't have like that old Ted Williams shift, the David Ortiz shift, to modernize the reference, where you had the second baseman playing in short right field and the shortstop was playing like where the second baseman would normally play. And every time you pulled the ball, if you were a left-handed batter, you were pretty much automatically out. So the shift was eliminated. And all of these changes were meant to bring pace and excitement back to baseball. And what we say when we mean excitement is really we mean offense. We mean runs scored. And what has happened instead is that whatever run scoring we have seen increase has basically just been home runs, like more teams selling out for power, trying to hit more home runs, because there still aren't enough singles and doubles and triples out there to build an inning. The way you score runs most reliably remains hit the ball, over the fence. And that can be frustrating, especially if you are like an old-time baseball fan, a long-time fan, or you've got some old-school sensibilities about you. And I know some of you are out there listening to the program. You're the folks who text, why doesn't anybody know how to bunt anymore? Like I'm with you. Man, I was a great bunter in high school. I never got to bat, but if I had, I would have shown off my bunting skills. I was legitimately good at it. It's not that hard. Just catch the ball with the barrel of your bat. It's not that hard when they're throwing 80. It's a lot harder when they're throwing 102 and it's moving. Anyway, but like if you have those old school preferences when it comes to baseball, it can be really frustrating to watch. Man, there's a lot of strikeouts. Man, the ball's in play, the score runs. It seems like hitters are selling out for home runs. Yeah, because it's really hard to hit the baseball. That is the problem. Major League Baseball has addressed a lot of problems, and I think that for the most part, the changes that have been made have been net positives for the game. I think the new ABS challenge this year has made for a better strike zone, a strike zone that has forced pitchers to come into the zone a little bit more often. I think that's been good. That's a good change. No shift aesthetically is a good change. More stolen bases or encouraging more stolen bases. A good change. Those are fun plays. You want to see fun baseball plays, right? Well, what's the most fun baseball play? A ball in play. You just don't see those like you used to, and it's not the batter's fault. Yeah. It's not, because we have tried to legislate more emphasis or more, what's the word I'm looking for? More impetus for putting the ball in play to batters. And yet they're still doing what you talk about. Sell out for power, trying to hit the ball over the fence. Because it's so freaking hard to hit the guys who are standing on the mound, throwing 100 miles an hour with sliders that if Babe Ruth had seen one, he would have fainted dead in the batter's box. If he'd seen anything like even a Lucas Erceg slider would have made Babe Ruth drop dead of a heart attack on the spot. The problem in baseball, the problem of offense is about the pitchers. The pitchers are too good. The pitchers are too good. And until you do something about that, then this is what offense is going to be across Major League Baseball. It's going to be, even without the shift, even with, the pitchers have to work a little faster, no game clock. You're still going to have this problem because it's too damn hard to put the ball in play, because the pitchers are demons from hell who all of them throw. Like I make this example all the time. You're old enough to remember Joel Zumaya. You remember him?
No.
Nah, probably not. 2006 Tigers?
You
would have been what, 5?
I would have been
4 or 5?
7.
Okay. So the Tigers went to the World Series in 06, and their best setup man was Joel Zumaya. And Joel Zumaya was must-see TV because Joel Zumaya threw 100 miles an hour.
Only that year, though.
Like, I could even
must-see TV.
Yes, only that year. Famously, there was a rumor that he got hurt playing Guitar Hero, and that's why he didn't pitch in the playoffs. And he was never quite the same guy after that. But his whole thing was he threw 100 miles an hour. And that was just not a lot of guys were doing that. That's why Nolan Ryan occupies the space that he occupies in baseball history, because he was throwing 100 miles an hour when nobody was doing that. Last night, I turned on the Rockies-Diamondbacks game. The Rockies had a relief pitcher I've never heard of in my life who is no taller than me and 60 pounds lighter, throwing 97 with crazy run. Like, I'm talking run on his sinker and cutter you can't even believe. Now, he can't believe it either because he can't throw it for a strike.
Was this like the hype that like Steven Strasburg had when he was in college and before he got drafted?
Yes, because he was at 102 in college. Like, oh my God, you can throw harder than 100 miles an hour. Everybody now throws super hard.
Yeah.
And everybody's got breaking balls that spin like crazy. Everybody's got this outstanding stuff. And it used to be one guy had that stuff, and they were must-see TV because they were one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now it's everybody. Even the pitchers who aren't good throw that hard and spin the ball like that. And you're not disincentivizing it. You're not going to put that toothpaste back in the tube. But I am more and more of the mind they got to move the mound back. Like they have to. Like you want to change with the times and adapt to the times. You might have to move the mound back a foot, maybe 2. That might be the only way we get that the game in motion truly back, because it will be then easier to make contact. Yeah. And look, contact is where the game lives. Contact is where the game thrives. I love a long ball. I love a dinger. I love a strikeout. I love a nasty slider. I love 100 miles an hour above the hands. You can't touch this. I love the power, but where baseball lives and thrives is on contact. And there just ain't enough of that anymore. And it's not for lack of rule changes, and it's not because the hitters are stubborn. It's because the pitchers are too damn good. Yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Speaking of good pitchers, the Royals are going to see 3 of them this weekend against the Mariners. We'll talk about the series next here on 580 Sports Talk. 550 on 580 Sports Talk. Royals baseball coming up in 10 minutes. Pregame coverage. It's Noah Cameron and Logan Gilbert, the starting pitching matchup tonight. Saturday afternoon's game will be a cable TV game, FS1. Stephen Kolek goes for the Royals against George Kirby. Seth Lugo and Brian Wu is your Sunday pitching matchup. Those are Seattle's 3 best. If the Royals get the offense going this weekend, they'll have earned it against 3 guys that are really good. Gilbert's had a tough year, been victimized by the long ball, but Kirby and Wu are strike throwers and tough nuts to crack. So not the get-right sort of pitching matchups you'd want to see for a Royals team struggling at the plate, having lost 9 out of 10. Major changes in the Royals lineup tonight. I'm kidding. Come on. You really expected that to be the case? It's Garcia leading off, Witt at short, Pasquantino at first, Perez behind the plate, Jensen DHing, Kaggs in right, Collins in left, Massey at second, Isbell in center. It's the familiar lineup against a right-handed starter that the Royals roll out there tonight. Pasquatch off a couple days off. Man, hopefully he gets going. It's a bummer when a guy is struggling, like an important player, but Pasquantino's such a likable guy and like a likable personality that it's an extra large bummer when he's in a deep funk or he hits 190 for 2 months. Like, man, the Royals need him to get going. They need it bad. It feels like he could be, like, we're starting to see some signs of life from Salvi, but if Pasquantino can really get going, that might be the tide that lifts the boats. I really think it could be. Like, I might come too late for it to really matter, but I think it could help.
Yeah.
The lineup tonight against Noah Cameron for the Mariners. J.P. Crawford leads off, followed by Julio Rodriguez in center and Randy Arozarena in left. Robert Refsnyder is the DH. I pounded the table for the Royals to sign Refsnyder this offseason. I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy they got to go get as a platoon bat against lefties. Rob Refsnyder is hitting 106. But he's in the cleanup spot tonight against the lefty. Patrick Wisdom, Cub great. I didn't even know he was still in the league. He's at first base tonight, batting fifth. Then it's Cole Young at second base, Mitch Garver behind the plate. No Cal Raleigh in this series. He's on the IL. Victor Robles in right.
No, the
Colt
big
Emerson. Yeah, trust me, I know. He's on my fantasy team. He and 8 other guys on my fantasy team are on the injured list right now. Colt Emerson, big prospect that the Mariners just called up earlier this week. He's at third base. He is batting ninth. Noah Cameron could use a solid outing. Been a rough road to hoe for him, though he was decent his last time out. 3 earned runs in 6 innings against the Cardinals on May 16th. Hopefully that's something that he can build on. Hope we're talking about some happy Royals happenings the next time we talk to you, which will be on Tuesday at the long weekend coming up. But before that, we got one final break and a final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Last one before a long weekend, so let's make it count. Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah, final word for me. I've seen all the tributes the last 24 hours for Kyle Busch, and I was never a fan of him personally because I was a Dale Jr. guy. But man, it's eerie to go back and listen to his Truck Series winning comment last week when he was asked, why do these moments never get old? He says, because you never know when the last one is. And he didn't know last week that was the last time he'd win a race. And, that's just very sad. And rest in peace, Kyle Busch. And thoughts and prayers still with his family and the whole NASCAR family this weekend in Charlotte.
Couple of final words for me as we wrap things up. The Royals are banking on internal improvement, saving their season. They don't have much time to find out whether they're right or not. Do think there is some internal improvement that is likely to happen. I don't think Vinny Pasquantino is suddenly a 190 hitter, or that Salvador Perez is never going to get another hit in the clutch again, or even that Michael Garcia is going to struggle the way that he has struggled for a whole lot longer, as he's been really having a hard time at the plate the last couple of weeks. But at 10 games under 500, 50 games in, you're talking about having to play some pretty darn good baseball, a level of baseball that really might be beyond this team's talent level, even at its best. They want to get back in the American League race. That is, of course, assuming that the American League race actually develops and doesn't end up a slap and tickle fight for the entire 6 months of the season. My other final word is a very simple one. Obviously, we are off on Monday for the Memorial Day holiday. Do remember on that Monday, do remember why we have Memorial Day. Do remember those folks who served our country and did give the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in protecting our lives, our country, and our freedom. And salute them appropriately on this Memorial Day. Royals baseball coming up next. It's on WIBW 13.5 tonight if you want to watch it on local TV if you don't have Royals TV, but it's always on 580 WIBW. Pregame is next. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Talk to you Tuesday. Good night.